Welcome to episode 29 of the Yerba Power Podcast, where we share the power of Yerba Mate with the world. My name is Devin. I'm your host of the Yerba Power Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. If you are new to the podcast, check out some of the episodes down there below. What is Yerba Mate? Where's it from? Other interviews with other guests. Even have some episodes in Spanish. If you understand Spanish, there's some episodes in there. And so today's episode, though, is pretty cool. There is a soccer team in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States, that was created and centered around Yerba Mate. How cool is that? Join me today with the Brothers of the Gourd is the name of the soccer team. And Dan Hanna is one of the team members that I will be interviewing today. I want to give a shout out to Yerba Crew, because not only are they a sponsor of the podcast, that they were the people that pointed me in the direction of Brothers of the Gourd. And I learned about their team and got connected with Dan, thanks to Jason and the crew. And also, Jason went out there to see them during the game. I gave them all the supplies, mate kits and yerba and everything before the game, did a mateada, and they won the game. So, whether Yerba Mate has athletic benefits or not, as far as, the scientific evidence that I talked about in one of my previous episodes, they won the game. So, hey, what more evidence do you need? So, seriously, though, there is some kind of connection why all the soccer players are drinking Yerba Mate, right? So, in this episode, though, jokes aside, we'll be talking about with Dan and his mate story, his origin story, how he learned about Yerba Mate, and how the team got started, about their league in Philadelphia, like how the league works and the games they play. And we talk about their shirt design, which you'll have to check them out on Instagram at Brothers of the Gourd on Instagram to see the jersey that I'm talking about, the kit they have. It's really cool. It's like yellow with kind of this leaf design on it, and it's got like the soccer ball as the gourd for the mate. It's really cool. And so anyways, just to give you some visual aspect there. Also, I'm putting this up on YouTube. So if you're listening right now, you can click in the show notes descriptions, the link to the YouTube video. And if you're there, do me a huge favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I plan to put out a lot more content, but also it helps with the algorithms. It's free to do. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it really does help spread the word of Yerba Mate through the world as a free, easy way to help support the podcast and support what I'm doing. I appreciate you all, and I'm recording this. We recorded this on last Thursday, I believe, but today is November 20th, so right before Thanksgiving. So if you're listening to this right now, happy Thanksgiving, wishing for you and all the best in your family. So without further ado, let's go into the episode. Thank you, Yerba Crew, for sponsoring the podcast and helping the Brothers of the Gourd win and introducing me to them. Join me with Dan of Brothers of the Gourd. Everything else you need to know is in the show notes, just so you know, down below. Thanks. Welcome to the Yerba Power Podcast. I'm joined by a very special guest today. His name is Dan. Hanna is how I say your last name? Yeah. So he is a team member on the Brothers of the Gourd, a soccer team, football team up in Philly that has Yerba Mate as their, I guess, whole origin of their team and centered around that. So this blew my mind that this exists, number one, and especially because it's like non-Argentines, or at least you're not. Two, that this is in Philly, because that seems like, I would expect it out of, like, I don't know, Miami or New York or something. But so that's cool. And so that's why I'm honored to have you on the show today, Dan. So how you doing?
I'm pleased to meet you. This is kind of just pure luck that we kind of ended up, I guess, meeting after I connected with Yerba Crew like last week. And excited to chat with.
Power of the internet. Yeah. The one good thing about Instagram, at least so far for me, being able to connect with people outside of my, general world, I guess you could say, in my little backyard. Be able to find people
through the mate
on the internet and we all hang around there in kind of the same areas because of Yerba Mate, right? You like a photo, you see a person, and like, oh, where's this? So with that being said, how did you get into Yerba Mate?
Randomly, so back in the day, I was at Whole Foods, and I saw Guayaquil, like the glass bottles, which is kind of the only brand that like they sell. Actually, this is probably 10 plus years ago. That was definitely the only like mate you would ever find. But I didn't know what it was. I saw it was kind of like this healthy tea type thing, and maybe I'd heard of it once. So I just started drinking it, like before games, or I'd be playing pickup soccer, and I just noticed the energy was good. Like did a little research about it, maybe just to find out what mate was, but do the Gourd thing till a little later. So I met a friend here in Philly. We were playing pickup soccer, and I kind of wanted to recruit him to our team, which wasn't Brothers of the Gourd at the time. And we just started chatting. So it turned out both of us had been in Brazil for the World Cup, I guess earlier that summer, so 2014. And his family actually lived in Brazil. So we became friends. Later that year, like we went down there to visit his family, like have a farm, beautiful place. And his dad showed me how to make the mate like properly. They had a whole bunch of big gourds there, and I was, oh, what is that? Like I was just really curious, and I'd seen pictures of people with mate gourd. We learned how to make it there. We just had this idea. We're like, hey, we should bring this back to the team. Like, what if we passed this around before a match? And we would all have like really good energy. It would be like a little ritual. And, it's a little odd coming from Philadelphia, where we don't know anything about the culture at that time. We just like the idea of something that kind of like there we go. Yeah, so started to bring the gourd to the game, and we pass it around. Most of the guys were kind of like, "What is this?" Some of them still are. But it's just been our thing, I guess, since then.
That's cool. And even cooler that you got to go see a World Cup match, especially in Brazil. So how was that experience?
Fantastic, man. I saw 2 or 3 matches, like the group stages. We were in Rio, so I went to like Maracanã Stadium there, and just toured a little bit of Rio. Like beautiful people, beautiful beach. Like, I actually subsequently have been back to Rio like a good handful of times just based on that first trip. Like, I love this place. But yeah.
Nice. Well, that's cool. So, what part of Brazil is your friend from?
This town called Pindamonhangaba. It's not a big place, but
okay.
I think it's outside of Sao Paulo.
My own curiosity because I obviously know Argentine Yerba from, that's the whole thing with my wife and all that. But Brazil, unfortunately, is a place I haven't been to just yet. And from what I understand, it's only the south of Brazil. But that's why I want to ask you, like, as far as, where they were drinking the Yerba Mate and what town and all that.
Shout out Eric. He was like our co-captain along with me. He moved to Florida recently, but, he's still part of the squad. Definitely part of the origin of the Gourd.
Yeah, thanks, Eric, for getting the team on. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, with that being said, how did the team... So you mentioned, like, kind of before you were playing some pickup, before you kind of, I guess, really formed a team, especially around Yerba Mate, I'm sure. How did the team kind of get started, and what's that like?
We're in the Casa Soccer League. I was on a team that was not related to Mate, I guess, but the captain and a few other players had kind of like moved on. I kind of wanted to keep the team going, and we were sponsored by like a bar in Philadelphia, but we weren't super organized at that time. But I wanted to keep going because the Casa League was really fun. It was like the only kind of competitive, like 11v11, proper football that you could play. So yeah, I was really into that. And piece by piece, we had some friends from the original team that stuck around, kind of did some recruit by playing pickup or going to these other like 7v7 leagues in the city. And then we just kind of kept it together. And then I guess I was the captain there, and Eric and a couple of the other guys would kind of just help organize with me and things like that. And we just kept it going.
Nice. So Casa League that's the name of the league, or what's that? Does that stand for something?
It stands for anything, actually. It's just Casa Soccer. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about as far as I know, but like volunteer run, totally amateur, of course, but there's like 7 divisions now of like 11v11. And then they have winter leagues and tournaments and so on. We're in the 3rd division, Brothers of the Gourd, and we've been stuck in that division for about 7 years. We don't go up, we don't go down, but we're surviving. It's an amazing league. Like there's women's leagues, there's non-binary, very inclusive, very fun, all levels kind of football.
So those are different leagues as based off of relegation and stuff?
Relegation. Like the Primera division is pretty competitive and like, similar to like a college level, I think. And then it goes down from there.
Gotcha. Well, hey, sure, holding your own though in the 3rd, because like you said, I'm sure the 1st is people that don't have jobs or something, that actually really dedicate a lot to amateur, football. So, well, congrats guys on starting a team. And so that's Brothers of the Gourd. Who came up with the name?
I don't know. I think it was kind of just like a brainstorm where we kind of just blurted it out. I don't know if it was myself or Eric, or we were just like we're the Brothers of the Gourd. Just sounded funny. And then we had a graphic designer that was on the team, Dave Runkle, just give him credit here. But, I talked to him and I was like, hey, can we design a logo for the team? And we worked with him. And I don't know. Oh, it's not on this jersey, but we have it on our Brothers of the Gourd, like proper kits. And then I just got the idea, like, okay, we have a gourd, got a soccer ball. We just got creative with it. It was just a fun idea. It's a little odd, I'll admit, like the cultural appropriation aspect of it. Just, I'm cognizant of that, like that I'm not from Argentina or Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
We do have some players on the team that are from those countries over the years, but it was really just something we enjoyed. Like just kind of as we found it, we just realized like this would be an interesting thing and positive, it's healthy, and it's also kind of like something to unite the team. So that's kind of
100%. Yeah, I definitely want to highlight what you said as far as like I have my own doubts and whatever things about, well, who am I as an American to talk about Yerba Mate? Yeah, sure, your wife's Argentine or whatever, but you're not, and it's like it's not about the national identity of the beverage or whatever, or who started it or who's the most popular country that drinks it. Like that's just like that's nonsense. Like don't let that, it's for everyone, it's for everywhere. Like I think that's the whole point I'm trying to share, and I appreciate you guys for sticking that too. Is like it's a thing to share. It's it's not like it belongs to any one person. It's for it's for everyone, and it's to unite the people or team community. So it's great on you guys, and for holding that down. So yeah, that was my other question too about the shirt design. So you had a graphic designer on the team, so you little in-source in team design. So that's cool. Now you mentioned like you got other different people on the team and stuff, and some probably don't even actually drink Yerba Mate though, even though they're on the team, right?
Mandatory part of being on the team. Some enjoy it, definitely.
Sure.
I'll bring it to the match most of the time. And I'll share it. I'll offer it to everybody. Some of the guys like, hey, Dan, did you make the Mate yet? Or they're like, no, thank you. It just depends on how they react to it, or maybe they had enough caffeine that day.
Yeah.
But they're great.
Yeah.
But I will say, Jason from Yerba Crew coming last week did a lot to, like, I guess, break the ice for a lot of the guys, because he came through, he showed us all the different types of gourds and a lot of different flavors and brands of mate, and kind of gave everybody an idea of like what it's all about and I guess how it's supposed to be done. So the guys are really excited. They took some gourds home and bought some from his shop. And I think we have a group chat going, and we have a few photos of guys like making their own mate, during the day for work and stuff like that. So it's catching on.
Nice, yeah, little by little. I think that's I think you said it well. Breaking the ice kind of thing. It's like understanding kind of what is it, especially because when you see a cup, and got something weird in it, and you don't, and then they pass to you like, oh, I'm not sure I want to drink that, and what is that, and I think it's just explaining it, because it's like if you say, hey, look, it's just loose leaf tea, then or I mean, it's more than that, but at the same time, like if you just try to, it's nothing weird or crazy. It's just a beverage. I mean, just like anything else. But I think in explaining, the health benefits and stuff, that helps people. Oh, okay, well, I'll give it a shot or whatever. Versus, yeah, I don't know what you guys are doing over there. And even to this day, even though I have people that have seen me drink it and stuff, still questions, and that's okay, and that's kind of the education though, explaining all that stuff. So that's why this exists, and obviously why we're passionate about it, is being able to help other people understand, because as yourself included, once you understood kind of what it was and how to prepare it and all that stuff, that's that's probably where you're at today, right? You just knew in a can and everything. So
everybody starts somewhere. I didn't know about it. Now I know a little more about it. Hey, let's share it with some friends. It just goes from there.
Yeah, I got a little question about that. So, my position, is different probably than yours, but how do you kind of explain it to people when, especially like guys on your team that aren't aware, or maybe just people you come in contact with that you're drinking yerba mate, or just as it comes up, and how do you normally kind of help educate, I guess, or teach people about it?
I find it abuse sometimes when people give me a confused look, or like, what is this thing in a cup? Or like, sometimes they think it's like a drug. Maybe they see me pouring out a bunch of herb. It's a common, we all deal with it. It's funny to start off with, but they're guys that play soccer. Some just call it Messi juice. You've probably seen a picture of Messi walking around with his. But then it basically just tell them it's like basically an herbal tea that comes from South America. That Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay enjoy. They drink it maybe more than coffee down there. It's just a very healthy thing. I try to explain to them a little bit of the health side. A pharmacist, or originally a work, and so I kind of read into the chemical, ingredients, I guess, that go into it. I can speak to that part of it.
Interesting.
Times, just explaining to them that it's like a different form of caffeine, so that just doesn't produce the same kind of jittery, anxious buzz like coffee does. And then I just tell them it's good for the game. Like, we're gonna be hyped. We're gonna run faster. So just have a. So
you won't be like Messi, right? Right? Like, drink the juice, man. Like a Space Jam. You give them the little special beverage. I don't know if I'm showing my age by the old Space Jam. We had Michael Jordan had a water bottle that he gave the team or whatever, and thought it'd make them like Michael Jordan, but it was just regular water. But anyways, made them believe that they could. So, yeah. Well, speaking of pharmacy, though, I would love to hear kind of how you explain maybe some of those, I don't know, chemicals or whatever you want to call it, because honestly, like myself and probably a lot of people that do drink it a lot, veterans or whatever you want to call them, we understand what it is and the benefits. We like it, and that's not going to change our minds. But to deeper understand some of those health benefits, especially chemicals and stuff, because I only recently learned what theobromine and theophylline was, and that kind of explaining that to other people, and it's like, now it makes sense, and like helping other people realize like, oh, this, like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like you said, the jittery crashing and all that stuff. Any insight there in the pharmaceutical world
Sure.
for us?
So to be honest, like anything I kind of understand about it, I've probably gotten from like reading articles that like anybody could read. But my understanding is that like one, it's not acidic like coffee, so it doesn't typically like upset people's stomachs as much and maybe kind of digest a little slower. So coffee is like super acidic. It can cause like heartburn and whatnot, which I don't experience as much with mate. And then I saw things that call it like a liquid vegetable, where apparently people can drink mate all day and not really get hungry because there's a lot of minerals and vitamins that are actually in the herb that kind of satisfy your body so that you're not looking for, bread or food, basically. So it can be beneficial in that way, just as like a supplement. And then the type of caffeine that's in the mate, a little bit more of I compare it to like how white sugar is refined, like down to a powder, and regular natural sugar would be like in fruit, where it's like a little slower to break down, and it's like packaged with other, I guess, chemicals in your body or in the fruit. So coffee has caffeine in that like refined, very like potent way, and mate has it in its natural form, as like as the plant makes it. So that's kind of how I explain it to people. I hope that's completely accurate, but we'll go from there.
Well, I will say there are studies into about maybe this, I don't know if there's a better word, but suppressing appetite. But there's that, and then as far as the way that the caffeine is delivered, I don't understand the whole science, but that's kind of along the lines of the theobromine or whatever. It was like that it's a sustained energy versus a punch crash, thing. And an interesting point you made, about the acidity or the acid, reflux. So I've heard some people that do get acid reflux from yerba mate, just saying it's not completely 100% or whatever. That, but I also do think that it also has that, personally, I think it has something to do with also the quality of the yerba versus organic versus not. But I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on the internet. Neither does my friend Dan here. So don't take our words as doctors or anything. This is just, like you said, articles anyone can find on the internet that I think more than anything, it's like, try it for yourself, see how you experience it, how you feel, and, don't take our word for it, I guess, try it for yourself, right? Yeah. Anything else that you want to add or want the listeners to know about, whether in regards to you or the Brothers of the Gourd, or?
That's pretty open-ended here, but I guess I really just, I hope people take a little bit of an interest in the mate, and if they're curious about it, they can like pick some up or like ask anybody questions on Instagram or wherever it might be, and feel free to like reach out. But basically, I think I like the idea of mate just becoming a little more popular, partially because it's healthier, in my opinion, and probably could be demonstrated that. But it's also just like a fun, interesting that, I guess we're picking from like another culture. So I'm glad to meet and connect with other people like the Yerba crew in Philly and yourself that are just kind of on the same wavelength, just wanting to share it. Brothers of the Gourd, we're doing well the last couple weeks. We're fighting relegation though, to be honest, and so we really need to win this week. But follow us on Instagram. And not sure what else you'd want to know.
Yeah, follow along the Brothers of the Gourd on Instagram, cheer them on, show your support. Yeah, you got a local connect now for your supplier, Yerba crew. Shout out to them too, because they've been very passionate about sharing Yerba Mate and definitely align vision. They actually sponsor podcast episodes as well. So they're great people. Jason is And yeah, I really appreciate your time, Dan, for coming on and talking about this, because I know you got other things going on in your life as well. And but I do have a question though, since you got these, wicked awesome, jerseys. Is there a way to actually buy one of those jerseys to support you guys?
It's possible.
Is that possible?
Like right now, we don't have them for sale or anything like that, but we do have the Brothers of the Gourd, like the yellow jerseys. I think you're referring. I was talking to Yerba Crew, Jaden, about possibly like putting a few of them up on his shop. We have some spare ones. We go through Icarus, who designs the jerseys and kind of prints them and ships them. So we could always put in a reorder, get them up on somebody's store if anybody's like going to support a Mate-based football team from Philadelphia.
No, yeah. If I can figure out, this is one of my, just declaring it on the internet right now, that I've been looking into getting somewhat of a store for podcast swag and stuff like that. So I would be honored to put some of you guys' jerseys up for sale on store if I can get that up and running. So yeah, I'll be glad to back you guys on that. And anyone else that's listening, I know there's a couple other Yerba companies out there in the U.S. that if you guys want to support the team, we'll make that happen. And then we got to get you guys, got to get in some extra orders. So, well, thanks once again, Dan, for being on the show. And hope to, number one, much success and for the Brothers of Gourd, fight on and go win some games and score some goals for us at the Gourd. And hopefully, we can have one of the other guys on maybe sometime. Would love to have anyone else on the team if they want to. Would love to do that. So, but thanks for your time and reaching out and being here. And until next time, good chat. Hey, thank you for listening to this episode of the Yerba Power Podcast. If you made it this far, you've already finished the episode. Do me a huge favor. If you're on Spotify, just click the follow and rating there if you can. I'd really appreciate that. If you're on Apple Podcasts, there's also like a follow button at the top. It used to be a subscribe. Like I said before with YouTube and all those other algorithms, it helps raise the podcast in the algorithm rankings. I'm not exactly how sure all that works behind the scenes, but I know that that's the easiest way to help support the podcast. Doesn't cost you anything, but also keeps you up to date so you don't miss an episode. So thank you and talk to you soon.